do your research. There's a really great book on British military watches, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of that book too. I need to get off this bumpy road. It screws up the camera. Goes. Need some smooth roads when I'm watch talking. But the reason I bring up that book is that I think I mentioned that the internet's great, but the internet doesn't have everything. There are some excellent books out there that are awesome and that are, they have information in them that the internet doesn't. Or you'd spend days in the rabbit hole trying to find it. So I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do a watch video about books. Now, the importance of having a library, a watch book library, even if it's modest, and certainly if you find yourself collecting a certain genre or a certain type of watch, the books can be really, really beneficial and amazing. And actually expensive, too. Some of these books are very, very pricey. But like anything else, if you do your due diligence, you get out there hunting, you get it at a better price. Would I recommend one of these watches to the casual collector? Probably not. Not to the casual collector, because you don't get more vintage than a 1940s watch that may have seen battle. But that's also really cool too. It survived all these years. I don't know. If you're not comfortable with a watch that is a little loose on the time, I guess vintage in general might not be for you. There was a time when it wasn't for me, and I was operating in some foolishness and actually missed out on some really great pieces because I was being petty about 30 seconds to a minute lost over the course of a day. Who cares? I mean, does that even matter? No. If you're 30 seconds off, you set your watch in the morning and you're only 30 seconds to a minute off by 8 o'clock that night, get over it. And I'm not really saying that to you, I'm saying it to me, because I should have totally gotten over that, and I would not have that. Is it fear of missing out? No, I bought a watch. I want to do an episode on that watch. Bought a Hamilton Otis. It was so beautiful. The Hamilton Otis is the JLC Reverso from 1939 to 1940. JLC didn't invent the Reverso, some guy did, and then licensed it to JLC in Europe. But they also licensed it to Hamilton in the US. And so for 2 years, Hamilton was producing like-for-like Reversos, their movement, but architecture, patent, design, 100% the same thing. And then there was an international lawsuit, patent, blah, blah. And the end result of the lawsuit or whatever is JLC imposed upon Hamilton, okay, you can keep making it, but you have to use our movements. And Hamilton was like, nah, we're not going to do that. But this watch had such an amazing engraving in it. An amazing engraving. And, most people when they buy a watch, they don't want something that's pre-engraved. But if you have a watch that has an unusual engraving in it from like years ago, wow, think about that from a timestamp perspective. I'm going to leave a little teaser about that. I'm not going to tell you what the engraving was. I'm going to do an episode on it. I'm going to do an episode because I do advocate for buying used watches with engravings. Unless the engraving is so goony that it is like ridiculous, right? But I use it as an excuse to ask the seller for an additional discount. And it usually works. And every now and then you find a watch with a timeless engraving on it. Maybe not an engraving you would have chosen, but still a pretty cool one. And I have a couple of those watches. So stay tuned for the Hamilton Otis engraving episode. And I think we'll touch more on vintage watches in that episode and others. But today's specialty, the Dirty Dozen. What an amazing watch. What an amazing piece of history. All right, let's take a closer look at this watch. My goodness. I hope I look this good when I'm 75. Here we have the Omega Dirty Dozen laying up against the British Military Timepieces book. An expensive book, as watch books go, but if you're into collecting this genre, then there's really no finer book on it. I'll flip through some of the pages in a hot minute, but let's take a closer look at the Dirty Dozen, up close and super personal like. So first observation, clearly it's had its glass replaced over the years, and if you get in there and you see the lume plops are, let's see how far, let's see if I can get them up in there for you. They're super dark, charcoal-y now. And crown, anyone's guess. Could be original, probably not, but period correct looking. And I'm going to throw up the dimensions on this piece right now. And the funny thing about the lug to lug, the L to L, I measured it going from the tip of the lug to the other tip of the lug. You might be inclined to measure it from the spring bars because these are welded here, but what you really want is the wing span, and that's what gives you the idea of the wrist presence of the piece, right? So that's what it looks like approximately on wrist. And let's have us a look at that case back. This strap is gorgeous. I need to pop in a link to wherever I got this from. Like I said, I think it's worn and wound, but just epically soft and wonderful. This actually, I guess it's more of a Zulu strap. Sorry, Zulu. And then we have the WW2 there, and then that arrow from indicates British MOD, and then what do we have there? Look at that serial number, 007. This must have been the original James Bond World War II watch. Ba-bam. How funny would that be? Crazy. Kind of cool, though. All right, let's pop it on the wrist. See what we got cooking here. There we go. 6.5 inch wrist, 35 millimeters diameter. A little bit under that 11, or rather a little bit over 11 millimeters thick. Wears great, runs great. Not bad for 75. If you could see me right now, you would totally laugh your butt off. I'm perched up on a ladder. I need to find a better way to shoot books if this is going to be a thing. So let's dive right into this British Military Timepieces book. Won't spend too much time. It's actually kind of an exciting book. And then this is the section that goes through the various specs for the Dirty Dozen watches that were delivered to the MOD. Got our little Omega down here. Right up there as well. Gigi Lecoultre. Longines. Little gaggle there. And then here we have the specialty, the watch wrist waterproof WW2. And it starts going into the Dirty Dozen themselves. So we start off with Buren, Sema, Eterna, Grana, the fabled Grana. They only made 5. Oh, this is good. This tells us how many were made. Grana. That's why the Grana is so hard to find. They didn't make that many. Omega 25,000. Oh, I didn't know they only made 5,000 Longines. See, this book is awesome. And it has a lot of good reference photos, so you can take a closer look at dial references to help you distinguish between the ones that are out there, the ones that maybe got monkeyed with. And this book doesn't just have the Dirty Dozen, it's got a boatload of British military watches. Ooh, Vertex. I use this to help me hunt down my Vertex. Let's see what else we got in here. One more modern day. Cockpit. Bunch of stuff. I like a watch book that is a mix of pictures and details, right? Not just one or the other. You got to have these full color references if you're going to hunt effectively, right? Great book. Great book. So, well worth it if you're into British military timepieces. I'll zoom in here on there, or rather leave it here so you can take a look at the publisher and the printer and the author. Fabulous stuff. Just like this. All right, there you have it. Omega Dirty Dozen and the general all-purpose study of the Dirty Dozen. Get one of the newer ones if you're not into, erratic watch behavior. Get one of the new ones if you don't want to worry about service. There's a lot of reasons to get one of the new ones, right? But if you like that vintage history and you're okay with, some loose timekeeping, wow, what an amazing timepiece, collection of timepieces. And if you end up getting one, if you've got one, drop me a note in the comments. Let me know about it. It'd be great to share this wonderful hobby of ours with you. All right, have yourself a great day.